Dimp Digital Presents Idle Game Chat.
Hello, Apps here from Dimp Digital, and welcome to Idle Game Chat. This is the weekly video games podcast where we give our impressions of the video games that you can play today and react to the latest news from the wonderful world of video games. We are here every Monday on your favourite podcast app and YouTube, absolutely free. I'm joined by the former Dimp Digital Gaming Quiz champion. It's Pacman himself. It's Tom Adcock. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yep, not too bad. Getting hot in this room, but that's the trouble with these offices. All this electrical stuff going on only takes half hour, and then it's like way too hot. But we'll work through it. I didn't get a water either. That's a disaster waiting to happen. So that's going to be Crokeville for the entire episode. Might be a short one, so we might get away with it. But this week we're going to take a look at GreedFall, give that a bit of a grilling. And then you're going to chat about some of your experiences on GTA Online in 2020. Unbelievable. So we'll see how that goes. What is keeping people engaged all these years later? Sort of knocking on the door of 7 years now, which is madness. But as usual, before we kick off, got to let you know that if you enjoyed Idle Game Chat, make sure you tell all the mates that you've got that play video games. And even if they don't, I think a lot of people are just finding the chat quite therapeutic in this life. So definitely tell anyone. And then if they don't like it, it's fine because they can listen for free and then bin it. But if you want to support the show and sort of get yourself above, you know, the riff-raff and whatnot, you can head over to patreon.com/idle game chat and you can become one of our special patrons there. If you don't want to or you can't be bothered, I'd say no bother, but really you should try and fork out a little bit to help this run because it's time and money now that it's starting to take its toll on us. So, but if you can't, thanks for listening, I guess, at the end of the day. Getting a little bit bitter with these freeloaders now, if I'm honest, sort of a few weeks into
Mate,
this.
I'm getting my garden done. I need that income.
True.
I need those bucks. Got bills to pay. Come on, guys.
Absolutely. Let's do GreedFall first. So,
Yeah.
I bet you have no idea what this is.
No, I just looked here on Wikipedia.
Go on, you tell me what
all I know
Wikipedia
about
says,
it-
and then I'll tell you whether that's accurate, because Wikipedia is sometimes a bit funny.
Wikipedia says GreedFall is an action role-playing game. It's developed by Spiders, never heard of them, and published by Focus House Interactive. The game is set in the 17th century. It's a styled fantasy setting and was released for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One on September 10th, 2019. And then it goes on to the setting, and there's a plot. There's a real someone's done some work on this, I tell you.
Yeah, most pages do have like the entire game story there.
In fact, just a little side note,
Go on.
it actually says this article's plot summary may be too long or excessively detailed. They want it improved, so there's too much detail for some.
Jesus.
Complaining.
Very rarely are they too detailed, those things. I always spot things they miss. I was reading for a Resident Evil 2 one for whatever reason earlier, and I noticed there was bits missing, and I was like, how are they getting that wrong? It's a pretty straightforward A to Z experience, but there you go. I've had this game since Christmas. So
What have you got it on?
Xbox One. It was
Okay.
it was a Christmas gift, so no financial outlay. I started it February, so I did take a little while because I got a few other games over Christmas that I wanted to kind of get out of the way with first. And like I said, it's depending on when you listen to this, it could be many months afterwards, but I'll get a little bit of inside baseball. I'll finish this kind of mid-May. So I had it from January or December, late December, early January. Didn't start until February, and it took me till mid-May to get it done. So it's not the fact the game was too big or overly big. It was one of those problems that sometimes occurs with these games, is that I wasn't really sucked into it. You know,
Bloody hell.
just been doing dribs and drabs. Then I'd bench it for a few weeks. Like fucking Streets of Rage would come along, so that was a week out of the game playing that. It just sometimes I just couldn't be bothered to play it, and it got left on the back burner sometimes. And I managed to finally sort of pull myself together and get it done with a final couple of pushes. But like you said, GreedFall is an action RPG game. It feels to me like a historic BioWare game. Like, there has to be influences that they've taken from their games, because it feels so much like Dragon Age Inquisition, for one, like, which was a very early generation game that BioWare put out, sort of before the wheels come off of Andromeda that everyone hated. Which actually reminded me, I wanted to look something up for Andromeda, because I'll be interested to see what this score got on Open Critic and then what Andromeda got, because I've got some opinions on that. But it's very similar. It feels like it's trying to copy that formula, but it's a very, very light version of it. Like the amount of corner cutting that spiders implement is quite jarring at times. I'll get into some of the specifics later on, but yeah.
My first question is: are you like an actual character, or do you create a character with a class? Or
so you create a character, but you are still you're called Desade regardless of whatever character you create. So you can't actually change anything other than the looks, gender, things like that. Okay. So it's one of those jobs where you don't build them from the ground up with a class necessarily. You can decide whether you want to go down sort of 4 routes, like magic, melee, like hard hitting melee, like a tank style, ranged guns, or like a bit more nimble, like blades and smaller sort of swords and things like that. So
what do you do with that, by the way? Just a quick side note. Like, do you do a bit of research? Because I can imagine your app's brain getting annoyed if you haven't picked the correct class like for the game, or do you lean towards one and just go with it?
So now, back in the day, I would nearly always go for a melee focused character. Now I nearly always go for like ranged. So in this case, it was like guns or magic, and I was like, let's go with magic. Like, if they're going to let me fuck about with magic, I'm going to do that. So it's actually, I've simplified the process by just saying always want to do ranged mostly, and then if there's magic there, I'll take that.
Cool.
So that's
fair enough.
That's kind of what I went for. Created my little Desade, look-alike. He's a noble, so I wanted to make him look sort of like noble, like he had like a little bit of sideburns, like sort of slick back hair. He looked pretty cool. Didn't do anything crazy with him. As you mentioned on the Wikipedia entry, it's set in a 17th century sort of world that's stylized in fantasy. So you've got magic, you've got monsters, all that good stuff. And Desade is who you take control of. If I was to say to you that Desade is a legate, would you know what that is?
No, I have no idea what a legate is. His name sounds a bit Dutch, so
no, that's not
thinking of like a Burkamp looking fella running around.
No, legate's what he is. It's his job title.
A legate? No, he's a delivery guy, like runs things, errands and stuff.
Not far off. It's actually not a bad guess, I guess, because of legs, and you've gone down. Yeah. He's basically a diplomat for the noble faction that he's part of. So Desade, who you take control of, is the legate for the merchant congregation. And I mean, you can tell already that they really love their own lore here. Like, I've never heard of a legate. Desade sounds like a ridiculous name. And then the noble faction is called Merchant Congregation. But long story short is that you're sent to an exotic island, Tier Thradi. I can never get that right. That was one thing I could never pick up. It was like learning a new language sometimes.
I can see it here. Yeah,
but you're sent off as a legate to with several objectives really. One is to establish diplomatic relationships with the other foreign factions that have arrived on the island. So there's like 2, maybe 3 others that have arrived. I can't remember the names off the top of my head. Establish diplomatic relations with the natives that live there. Yeah, like all these like high-powered, like posh, like noble factions all rocking up, and they're a bit like, all right, what's going on here? And then probably the main reason why you're sent there is that there's actually like a blood plague that has ravaged the home continent that you live on naturally, and it's to go there and find a cure. And I guess the idea is that because this is a nice exotic island, there could be a cure there that you could do it. And
okay, I'm on board for this. This sounds all right so far,
mate. What's really interesting is that you go into GreedFall without like a primary antagonist. Like, do you know? Like, let's just look at Zelda. Like, you rock up, Gandalf's there. You know you got to take him down, but in this, there's no like evil entity that you need to deal with, that you need to rid the world of. it just wants you to kind of establish relationships as you see fit with the factions. So if you don't like the factions, you can tell them to piss off, and you get all that sort of decision making.
Yeah.
Without being like overbearing and distracting you with an evil force at play. And to me, this whole setup felt so much more natural than many of the RPGs out there. It completely like liberates you from biased decision making, and allows you to kind of just feel more in tune with the world and sit there and take your time doing the side quests because you want to perhaps build up a level of trust with one of the factions that you've taken a shine to. So I'll go back to Breath of the Wild. Like literally, the game kicks off and it's like, right, Gandalf's in that castle. He's killing
Ganondorf, not
Ganondorf.
You're going to get me out of here.
Well, whatever he's fucking. There's too many. Why aren't there just one name for him, like Bowser?
It is ridiculous. Even Bowser, King Koopa, it's Nintendo, mate. They just chop and change, didn't they? Translations, fax machines back in the day causing problems.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
Donkey Kong was meant to be called Monkey Kong, apparently. And
Jesus fuck.
they fucked it and went, nah, just stick with it.
Donkey Kong's all right. Monkey Kong would have been 10 times worse. I can't have that.
Sorry, go on.
But yeah, so when you like you've got a nice base of Greedfall, it sets up a nice foundation. Like I said, I'm using Breath of the Wild as an example because I think it's one of the most almost that we've spoken about on another podcast. Like you can go and take him on at early doors, but what having that evil bastard in that castle doing to lost her name. I was going to call her Peach. Oh God, I'm going to get crucified.
Zelda,
of course. It's in the title, you prat. Anyway, like having him there doing God knows what to her, like slowly killing her, just created a sense of urgency to me, and it made me feel bad for doing the side quests. Like, cause I'm like, why am I running around like trying to secure like a property for myself when whatever his name is, Ganondorf, is doing God knows what to Zelda. Like she's slowly dying, and if she dies, that's it. The whole world's wiped out, and I'm fucking running around trying to get a little property because I want to have a little rest now and again.
It's a good point, and I think sometimes with these games, especially if you're not building from scratch, you kind of feel like there's a right way to play your character, like his personality, especially if it's a sequel.
Yeah.
And then also, I had another point that I can't think of, but yeah, I think that's one of the main sort of flaws with that. But basically, you're loving it then. It's a good setup.
Yeah. And
it's doing its own thing, but I feel like there's multiples of buts with this game for you. So, but it's a good start. You're liking the setup.
Yeah, loving it. Yeah. Like, I'm loving the fact that I'm just here to do my job, which is to put out fires, like all these diplomatic nightmares because someone's done this, and you're like, oh, what'd you do that for? Solve problems, create, I guess, fruitful relationships, and then ultimately look to try and source a cure for this plague. And who knows, you might stumble across that in a side quest somewhere. You might find out something interesting by doing that. So in context, undertaking all these quests, doing all this stuff made total sense, which I appreciate in a game that's relatively meaty in comparison to like a straightforward sort of action game. But these are the buts. There are issues with Greedfall that just, they tarnish the great foundation. Like the environments and buildings and interiors are shamelessly recycled and reused. Like it doesn't matter which faction HQ you're visiting in which city, you go inside their HQ building to sort of talk to their main person that you chat to, and the layout is exactly the same.
Jesus.
I'm not even sure they put different paintings on the wall. They probably do, but like you go forwards, then you go up the stairs, and then you go right, and that's the room. And it's the same for every single faction. Now, I think there's only 3 or 2 or 3 other ones, but still, I was like, right, that's not good enough. All the pubs, all the breweries are laid out the same. Same little bloke behind there as well. Doesn't matter what city you're in. And so that's something I can overlook. It kind of makes things easy, like when you're trying to get around because you know exactly where to go, even if you haven't been there before. But they also fail just to put basic quality of life things into the game. Like you're doing a lot of dialogue with people in this. You're making decisions. You're talking to people in a way you'd want to, and putting your own stamp.
And is this like Witcher based with like dialogue trees and whatnot?
That's it. Exactly the same.
Okay,
and now what the Witcher done, and what most RPGs will do, is that once you've gone down a particular dialogue tree, it will either remove it as an option because you've already gone through that. There's no point doing it again, or at least grey it out to show that you've done it. Like, okay,
exactly.
I've spoken to them about the river. I don't need to ask about that. I'll ask about the house now, which is not greyed out. Not on GreedFall. Just sits there like highlighted. So if you visit someone and then come back a few hours later and they've got two options, you're like, did I talk to them about their father? I can't remember because it's not telling me. And you end up hearing off the same bollocks over and over again. And it's just like, it's such a small, easy thing to remove and just add, like, just to make it easier for those that... Because I love the conversational parts of RPGs. I think that's what makes them what they are. And this just made it a chore. So that's annoying. Then you've got sloppy things, just like dialogue sentences will cut off before they're finished. Like, you'll be listening to someone, it'll get to the last word, just go... straight into the next bit, and you're like, right, that's
Jesus,
that's jarring. There's bugs, like when you're trying to follow someone, they get stuck on the environment. Like one guy was just walking into a rock, and I was like, mate, you're not going to get anywhere doing that. I had to run into him and like knock him out the way so he could get around the rock, and I could follow him. And it's just like an overall scruffiness to the world. It looks below average for today's standards. The world is dead. Like, people are wandering around, but they don't feel anywhere close to being real. I'm thinking like Red Dead, where it feels like proper, like these people are wandering around and actual humans that you can interact with. Animations all bang average, and then the gameplay and combat is very basic. I said I went for a magic character, and it gets rinse and repeat after a while. Not much of a challenge there, or much to upgrade. You get new powers that you can upgrade, and gear and bits and pieces, but it's all number based stuff, so it just makes you stronger in that sense. There's the tactical pause if you need to heal, things like that. And overall, all that stuff just makes the game not very engaging, which is why I believe that I struggled to stay on board with it all the time, and it took 3 months, the best part of, to try and get through.
Do you think if this game was released, sort of, I can't remember when the PlayStation came out, like early 2014 maybe, if this comes out June 2014, are you enjoying it, or is it fundamentally flawed, or it sounds dated to me?
Yeah, I've one of my notes that I've wrote down, like just a little reminder, like it does feel like an early gen or last gen crossover game, just in terms of the way it looks, and then all these corners that I've mentioned they've cut. So yeah, I think it would have fared definitely a lot better had it come at a time that was earlier than it. But we've had, like we mentioned in our game of the decade, The Witcher 3. That's the benchmark now. You can't be. And
to be honest, I played that very recently, and that held up like in every way.
Yeah,
it did not feel like a game that was probably 4 years old when I played it.
No, this is strange. I don't think this game had a particularly difficult like development cycle. It wasn't like it was announced like The Last Guardian, where it was like, oh, it's coming. It didn't come to a generation or two later. Like, it's just something they've been working on as their next project, and comes out like this. And I was like, Jesus. It's a shame, because I had this idea or this setup or this foundation kind of fall into the laps of like a peak BioWare, or a developer or publisher that maybe could invest a bit more money into it, maybe bring on some more experienced people. Then I really think it could have been a great game, because it does put a stake in the ground and say we're going to be a little bit different here for most of the game, and from the outset, like, you're here to be a legate and a diplomat, not to defeat this evil that's running riot and ravaging the world. So it's a shame, really.
It sounds like a missed opportunity, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, and here's my major problem. Like, I've got the Open Critic scores up for GreedFall. Got a 74, which is probably fair, I'd say.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Like, good foundations, but let down by gameplay and other sloppy bits and pieces. I then go to Mass Effect Andromeda. This got a 72. Which, if you're giving that 74s to GreedFall, then Mass Effect needs to be higher than that, in my view. Like, Mass Effect's a classic case, Andromeda is, where the expectations killed it. Had it come in under the radar like a GreedFall, it might have got a 75 or a 76.
Yeah.
But it had that expectation on it. It didn't deliver to like the 90s that people wanted, and I really feel like it was punished quite harshly on it. Like, the gameplay is far better in Mass Effect Andromeda. The scruffiness was there from day one, because we saw it all in the videos and whatnot, but the scruffiness in GreedFall that just sort of gets glossed over, And yeah, I feel a bit bad for Mass Effect in hindsight because gameplay wise, they nailed it and just got sloppy with it. But GreedFall sitting above it on OpenCritic, so that's what will matter when people look at the record books.
It's so subjective, isn't it? There's so much more. It shouldn't, but there's so much more to take into consideration when you look at those numbers on that screen. I'm looking at Wikipedia still and just scroll down to scores. It's pretty broad spectrum. You've got GameSpot 5 out of 10 at one end, IGN at the other end 8.2 out of 10.
Well, for GreedFall,
yeah,
they're nutters over IGN. That's mad.
That can't be trusted, can it?
Not really. That's why you come to Idle Game Chat.
Exactly.
You get it pulled apart and put back together, and then it'll just be a recommendation if it deserves it. But yeah,
what about sequel though? Bigger budget. I don't know if the story's got legs for a sequel, but same team, bigger budget, more development time. Are you interested?
Yeah, but only if it'll be one of those times where I've got nothing else on. Like, I'm not going to rush out and buy GreedFall 2 if it appears on the shelves, put it that way. Like, it's going to have to be, okay, there's like a gap in the gaming market. I've got nothing to play. Oh, GreedFall 2's out. Should I play that now? And then I'll probably get it. But it wouldn't be like being marked as like day one, need to get it and get through it. Definitely not.
Got ya.
Yeah. Bloody shame. But
no, it sounds like it can be improved. You know, like a bit like different game, but like original Assassin's Creed, there's a formula there. It can be worked on. It's not a travesty. It just needs refining a bit.
Yeah, and I agree with that. It does need some TLC. It just needs someone to go over it and go, right, why are you doing that at the conversation trees? Don't be lazy. Like, just sort that out so it makes it easy for people to play. And there is gear and depth, and like you can upgrade all your stuff. There's all that stuff like a typical RPG would had, but that was just not interesting either. I don't know why that was. Like different outfits and whatnot. I just wasn't that interested. I just looked at the numbers and was like, right, that's better. Put that on. So yeah. I
mean, buildings and interiors looking the same. You shouldn't be noticing that. That should not be a point. Like in 2020, that should not be like a point of irritation.
No, and even like it's like several zones that you can travel to. They don't have. They feel very similar.
Right.
It's not like one of those maps where you go to a different planet or different part of the island and it's like, fuck me, this is the snow bit.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like that at all. It was all just like lush green sort of garbage. And I was like, right, have I been here before? Yeah. It's just not, just sloppy in some places. It's fascinating really to see the corners they did cut to get what is quite an ambitious game out. These are taxing games, like, because there's companions that come along with you, so you can build relationships with them. You can do companion quests, obviously side quests, main quests. Like, it's got all the stuff that like an action RPG would have these days, which is definitely not easy to come up with. And yet it feels like they just got to a point and was like, can't be bothered to do that. Should we just cut that and put it on there and it's done. And then what you get is GreedFall, where if you can get sucked into the story and just play it for that, then you're golden. But when you start noticing these flaws, I think it takes the enjoyment out of it. So I may well have ruined it for some people that haven't gone through it.
But this is what I like now, because I mean, sometimes obviously if I'm talking to you and you're raving about a game, the end bit, I kind of guess what you're going to go with. But is this game recommendable? That's the question. So let's review it.
Yeah.
And how do you place this on the new sort of thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle situation? What are we going for?
This is a classic game that had the potential to be. For my genre, I love this genre of game. So really, the doors are open for 2 thumbs up for it if you can get it right. If you can produce the goods, then you're in there. I can't, like for example, I can't see myself ever recommending a fighting game as 2 thumbs up because it's just not my my flavour and my bag. So, but I love these games. But the foundation setting, the kind of diplomatic viewpoint they put on it, the choices that you can make to have outcomes to favour what you want to do, like that's all there, which is good. But it really is let down by some sloppiness and environments and gameplay and just structure of the game. So I am going to just put thumbs in the middle, sort of neutral. Like, if you really are chasing an action RPG in 2020, haven't played the likes of The Witcher, haven't even played Dragon Age Inquisition this generation, I'm sure there's other examples I'm totally forgetting, haven't played Mass Effect Andromeda, sort of get that in there, then there's better options out there. But if you're into this genre and you like them and you like the sound of GreedFall, you can overlook the shortcomings, then, you know, you're not going to do much harm by chucking this on the backlog and going through it. So, yeah, neutral, thumbs in the middle.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Well, your turn now. GTA Online. Not called GTA 5 Online, it's literally just called GTA Online, which is a bit mad. Makes you wonder when GTA 6 is going to come out. It will just be the same carried over again. But this is no longer available on Game Pass, but you were playing this, I understand, with friends via Game Pass, running through those heists that are there and generally just causing carnage. Like, this is a last gen game released in 2013. What are we doing in 2020 giving GTA Online the time of day? I've been hearing that you have to pay to win, all this stuff, and I need you to clear up all this mess, whether someone from ground zero can make a criminal enterprise without paying out through the nose with shark cards and real money.
Yeah, 100%. I've got no interest in any of that. A couple of mates were like getting back into gaming.
Yeah.
I think the last game they played was like Call of Duty and GTA, so that's what they went down. I fired up Game Pass. There it was sitting there. Annoyed me because they took it off, so I had to buy it.
Oh, you bought it though?
I had to buy it. 22 quid for a game that's 6 years old in the end. That really annoyed me. And then we stopped playing lately, so I'm like, well, that's not a good return on investment, is it? Could have got Red Dead. But no, in terms of like, I've never touched the online on GTA 5, so I came in completely new on a console that I've never even had online before this.
Okay.
My Xbox One all digital Black Friday deal from Tesco's.
Tesco again.
Yeah,
Tesco Mobile in previous episodes, and then now that.
Went in there at 5 a.m, think it's going to be sold out. They had boxes of them. It's not right. Again, Tom's getting caught out of those midnight releases. Pointless.
It's silly because sometimes the stuff that you think, oh, it's fine if I just go and get it on my lunch, is gone. You're like, what?
Yeah, you can get costed, and those Black Fridays, you never know what's going on.
No. How much was it out of chance? Like the all digital Xbox One?
Do you know what? I might be lying. I could Google it. I'm not going to.
Made.
Do you mean on Black Friday though?
Yeah.
I think it was $89.99. Came with 3 games. Yeah, $89.99 got me the console, all digital, 1 controller. Got me Sea of Thieves, Minecraft, and something else, but they're all games that are essentially on Game Pass basically.
Of course,
but you know, whatever. And at the time I was like, yeah, it's fine. It's with the Game Pass though, I had no idea how good that was.
No.
So
yeah,
it's been brilliant. And then this game has sort of been weirdly a bit of a highlight because it's got me like back into like online gaming. Like spending time with like mates, I guess like a lot of people in lockdown, I've sort of reconnected with some people I hadn't spoke to in a while, and we sort of muck around on this most nights now. Heists, completely missed this. I remember you guys talking about it actually, you and some of the other Dimp boys. Yeah. They're so much fun, man. I mean, they can be frustrating. They're actually harder than I expected. And like, if you're the one costing your team, you do feel like a massive plonker, really. Especially when people can't. It was obviously, I guess like it'll have 2 of you doing one thing, or even like sometimes it'll break you up 3 ways.
Yeah.
So like often half the team can't see what you're up against, and it seems like sometimes one part of the gang get a sort of short end of the stick and get right snarled up.
Yeah, there's definitely some shit teams to be on, like in terms of how hard it is compared to like, and there's one where they're just flying around for most of it and you're like on the ground like having to wipe out this whole prison. You're like, hang on.
Yeah, I've done that when I was in the prison.
Yeah, of course.
And also there's another one, I don't know if you remember it, you have to, like a couple of you are clearing out like a lab, and in the end you have to jump into some water and swim.
Yeah.
And basically we were missing the bit where it was telling us to put on like a breathing apparatus, so I was just going underwater drowning. We sort of done that 3 times, and it's like, because we was all talking, everyone's yelling at each other. It's like, it's pretty, they don't sort of like bring it up, like make it obvious. And I'm like, what is going on here? I had to Google it. I was like, for fuck's sake, Boyd, we just need to press left on the D-pad. That's it. No one else is doing that though, but it's so much fun. And then we've also got into like, if we can't get 4 of us for the heist, if there's 3 of us or we just can't be asked, we'll just jump on, do a bit of racing.
Oh yeah.
I think you said this in the game of the generation. It's quite a competent racer. Again, you don't Yeah, you don't need. Again, this is where you might think you might need to pay to win and stuff, because I know you can race with your own cars, but all the tracks have like a style, like off-road, motorbikes, like supercars, you name it, or whatever. And you can certainly win with the cars they give you and make available. I mean, people are little fuckers on it. Like, you see the people who kind of fuck up lap 1, they'll wait around and try and knock you off the track. Lap 2, 3, and 4 really sort of annoy you. But it just adds to the fun. It becomes more like Mario Kart than something like Forza or something. But really good. And then the third sort of like prong to this is just causing carnage, jumping onto an online game, trying to get the 5-star rating, the classic GTA like life, and then I don't know if you've seen this, I'm guessing you have, like right up to date now, there's this thing going on where people are picking a side, like these little alien suits, purple or green or blue. Right. And then you're just going around with like melee weapons, baseball bat is the weapon of choice, just finding like a little fella on his own and just beating 10 bells out of him.
What, an online fella, like a random little loner?
Yeah, have you not seen it? It's become massive.
Christ. And it's not is this something they've put in the game and encouraged, or have people just sort of made it up and gone, right, blue aliens and green aliens? Or as
far as I know, it's that. Like, something went up on Reddit, like some bloke sort of, well, like it's from the sort of vigilantes point of view, like 4 blokes in these like orange onesies, like dressed as aliens, pull up in a van, see some bloke like trying to get a prosy or something, they just get out of the van, kick the shit out of him, kill him, and just drive off.
So is it are they random attacks, or are they trying to like onto the guys that they're doing good?
Yeah, no, they're targeted attacks. Like if you're on your own now, so now it's become a whole thing. You buy your suit, you pick your side, and then it's like like greens versus blues or whatever, and you go around and you take on those other sides. Like, it's just, it's something that's just come up organically in the game. The game was never designed this way. Apparently they've even had like the ultimate battle now, like, so they've arranged events at the airport at a certain time. You log onto a server and it's like the final battle, but they just do it again the next night. So to think stuff like that's happening like so far after release, like, and it's not, it's sort of not breaking the game, but it's never designed to be this way.
No,
I think so good.
Yeah. But did you play a tiny bit of Red Dead Online? Like,
no, never touched it.
Oh, you didn't touch it at all?
No.
I was wondering why, because you played through the campaign of that, why that didn't appeal to you, and that why you perhaps think that Red Dead Online has still got a strong community, but GTA is just still the king and the daddy, and it's got you coming back after going through Red Dead 2, which has a lot of upgrades in terms of gameplay that you can play, but you're still going back to last gen GTA 5.
It's true. Do you know what? I can't really speak on it because I haven't played it, but I imagine it's just like you just obviously can't. The setting in my head, at least.
Fucking Mandalorian in it, isn't it? What it's called? What's that car called out of Back to the Future?
Oh yeah, it's got that in it. The DeLorean, Batmobile's in it now, roaring around, all sorts going. People flying in jet.
You can't do that in the Wild West.
Exactly. Like, to be honest, I saw my nephew doing this once, and I was like, that looks ridiculous. Like, I've got no interest now. It's too much going on. But when you actually play it, it's not really like that. It's just 1 or 2 people are like got crazy levels, and they are literally up flying through the city, dropping bombs on people. But yeah, going to what you just said then, I think in my head at least, that's the difference. You can't, fire a rocket launcher at a helicopter with 3 of your mates in, one parachutes off and it gets caught up in the blades of a helicopter below him. Yeah. Like, that's a regular occurrence on GTA. When in the Wild West, I know you can like hog tie people and stick on the train tracks, also loads of fun. But it's just by definition and setting, it's a slower experience.
Yeah.
I don't know what you can get up to as much, but I just think GTA's always had that carnage factor that people like. It's one of those games, isn't it? Along with like FIFA, Call of Duty, like that, just non-gamers will play and enjoy it, and it's the most gamey of those games, really.
Absolutely.
And I think it appeals. This is what we were saying. There's not many games that appeal across like factions, like age, like demographics, hardcore, like casual gamers. Everyone knows GTA. Probably everyone's played it, and probably everyone's had some fun on it.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that. Going back to your Black Friday deal, I've done a bit of research.
Go.
Tesco was selling it for, according to this, $109.
Cool. See, I'm not brain. It could be. Yeah, the Tom Brain probably just deducts everything. I probably lied to Sarah and said,
you had to take 20 quid off it just to
sort of knock that down. Yeah, that sounds right, and it's still a pretty good deal, I guess.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially if you've got Game Pass of it, you don't need to have the disc tray. you're kind of laughing there.
It annoys me though, because we had this conversation. Like, I'm definitely a physical man. It feels weird to have an all digital console, but actually doesn't bother me at all with this, weirdly. So maybe I am ready for that new life.
I'm sure I've said it plenty of times, sort of dropped the seeds or the hints. I am seriously considering going digital for next gen.
Even though we've both just confirmed we've ordered Last of Us 2 physical.
That's all fine. That's done. We've already got those in our hands. That's fine. But next gen, like fresh start, keep like this gen as like the last bastion of physical, and then just walk away from it all. Like Ghost of Tsushima will sort of be the swan song for me, I think, in terms of physical, and then get on the digital train.
It does. I mean, there's no reason not to. I don't know why I'm a holdout on this. I would never buy.
Genuinely, it is more expensive.
In 20 years, I don't think.
No.
Oh, yeah, it is. But the convenience, you are. Yeah. That doesn't make much sense, does it? The fact you're not owning anything, there's no resale, and you're still paying like an extra 7-8% on top for the convenience. But it is the convenience, I guess.
Yeah. One problem I've noticed throughout the generation is that I'd finish a game and think, yep, done with that, trade it in, thank you. And then later on, there'd be like DLC. Yeah. Or I'd think, oh, you know what, I fancy running through again, that game. And then I'd look and go, you traded it in for 12 quid, you prat. So you haven't got it anymore. Whereas at least if you've got it digitally, as long as they don't shut all the servers down and con everyone, like I could just download it again and then I wouldn't feel like I'd lost out. Like, I've had to rebuy games. I've bought
I have
Control or rebought because I wanted to. I thought, actually, I quite like the game. Maybe I'll play it again. And there's like a DLC pack coming. I've definitely rebought stuff and been worse off for doing it. Like if I just got it digitally and sat there on it and gone, right, it's fine. So it's. There
is a fair argument for it, for sure.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. And it's not just about getting up and putting the disc in and whatnot, but that is a pain as well, having to get that. But GTA Online, so you've been doing all those sort of 3 or 4 pronged approaches. Have you done all the heists? Do you know what your latest heist is? Because they kind of released like one batch, and then I remember there's like a second batch which were a little bit more complex. Like you needed a club or a corporate business or something to sort of set up like the submissions. And then I think they've done a casino one, which I've not got to at all.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's now the sort of the main one. The last one now is the casino. No, we've only done 2. We're like. I think we've just started the 3rd one, so we're actually taking our time because I feel like there's so much to do. Do you know what I will say? One hindrance on this, it is a fucking slug trying to get you all together, actually make the online work. Yeah. A lot of crashes. Yeah. Sometimes it can take 20 minutes to get everyone in the same game, and someone's having like connectivity problems. Like you. And I've done a lot. Like this isn't Wakering Internet. Like I've had a look and. Like every problem I've ever had or one of my mates has had is something that millions of other people have complained about.
It's that shell internet. It's not.
I think at times it's almost. I feel like at times this online has almost been unplayable for some people. Yeah. Like people have had real problems with it. So that is an issue for sure. Like,
I mean, like when we was doing our game of the decade. Like deliberations in WhatsApp, that was in hindsight that's an easy flaw because you're right. Yeah. The connection and just trying to get 4 of you into just a match or matchmaking into a heist for whatever reason takes forever. Yeah, and if it's not some fucker just not accepted the invite, which is a total user error. Like, but genuinely the whole system's slow and unreliable. I find.
Yeah, and like sometimes you'll finish like a part of a heist, and one of you will end up in a different server, and you're like, "Why has that happened?"
Yeah, or boots you out,
or you go back to the game, like the main story, back in that bank vault, and you're like, "What's going on? Why am I back here? Where are you?" And it's like, "I'm in a race." It's like, "What's happened there?" Like, yeah, it can be real. It can be a real headache. You know, sometimes honestly, we all get there. We're like, we've been online for 27 minutes. We're not actually in a game yet.
It takes forever to load as well, doesn't it? Like on consoles.
Mate,
like it's a good
hovering
like,
above
5
that city,
minutes.
You're like, what is this? Yeah, that is a downside to it for sure. Like, I mean, the fact that it does go to show how, because I get frustrated with games now and like slowness, and you know, you were saying about Resident Evil the other day. If I played that original one, just that door loading thing would probably piss me off in reality. Yeah. So the fact that this is a slug and I still like queue up to play it does show how much it is. It is such a great game still.
Yeah. Jesus H Christ, what's going on in House Adcock?
That's the work laptop down. So sign off for the day.
That's it. One last question.
Yeah.
There's hopefully no liquid sort of leaking.
No,
anywhere.
tea was finished. Mug's good. Starbucks. So quality there.
Excellent. Any interest in going back to the campaign at all for GTA 5? I know you've gone through it once before, but would you be considering going, let's have a look and just see what Trevor and Michael and Franklin can get up to? Or is it just like, nope, online or nothing, not interested?
Online or nothing. Do you know what? I'd like to go back and do Red Dead 2 and take my time and side quest it all, do what my mate Apps did and go off into the wild for 2 weeks and hunt boar. Like, that's the one for me, because that was like GTA feels like, you can do it faster. It's a mental ride. Whereas I feel like Red Dead's the one where I want to go back into that world and really soak it all up.
Yeah. I would not. I love doing that. Literally spent weeks away from the camp, just sort of reflecting on my life with Arthur. And I shaved his head, gave him a clean shave and everything. And he come back looking in the right state, all grubby, dirty bastard. But I came bringing the goods. I bought him some boar and some deer and a little few rabbits, and the camp were happy. So, yeah, it's not a game really you kind of get engrossed in. It's a much more cheesy, flashy game, but I'm interested in. I've got it on PC now because of that Epic Game Store, which I know people hate Epic because they're like, they're buying PC exclusivity. It should be an open platform. And I'm like, yeah, but they've just given me like 80 games, and I won't play 78 of them. But the 2 that I might play, I wouldn't have paid for, and now I've got them and I can play them. They're in my library, so I'll give them a little thumbs up for that.
Did you ever? I don't know if you did. I can't remember. I know we had this conversation years ago. Did you go back and play it in the first person mode? No.
Yeah. So I had it on.
Did you play through the campaign or?
Yeah. So I had it on Xbox 360 when it originally came out. Crashed through it on that. Didn't have first person then.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Then they done the PS4 and Xbox One releases. They added it as like a little feature. And yeah, that second playthrough I did first person. And yeah, it's interesting to play a game of that scale in first person and see the carnage unfold like as and when you are. Difficult driving, like I think I actually had to change it to third person.
Yeah.
It's just a pain. Interestingly, Red Dead Redemption 2 has first person. Didn't even bother with it. Weren't interested. So it obviously didn't have that lasting effect on me. Would you give... we'll talk about just GTA Online. You've jumped back in. Like, there's sales going on. You can probably get the game for 20, 25 quid. What sort of thumbs up rating, or thumbs down, or thumbs in the middle would you give GTA Online if someone was like, 2020, I've got 4 mates, and we're all sort of interested, but it's an old game. It might be a bit slow. Network issues. What sort of recommendation are you going to give them to see whether they should go out and get it now?
Yeah, I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up. I'd say I'm guessing most people have a copy in their house already. So if you can,
they should have
a couple of mates like you'd think so, wouldn't you?
If you haven't got this game, then it's your own fault. You shouldn't be able to buy it in 2020 again. Somewhere.
And I got caught out because it took off Game Pass. I wanted to play that night, so I had to buy it digitally, and they sort of pulled my pants down there. But I'm guessing you can get it super cheap from second hand or whatever if you shop around. So if you just fancy knocking around in this world again, you'd probably pick it up for 10 or 15 quid, or PC Epic now for.
Both sailed. That's gone. That was only for a week, so full price.
Oh, really?
Again. Yeah, it's the limited time. Once you activate the purchase, it's like the games of the month that you get. Games of gold.
Yeah.
You get those 30
put it in your
days.
library.
That's it, and then you've got it. But it's a week on Epic, you get 1 week to go with that. But yeah, it is a great game. I've been tempted to run through the campaign again on the PC, play it at like a higher frame rate and see if it still holds up and whatnot, but busy time at the moment. There's all sorts of games lurking out there for people to be playing, so it's definitely a project that's on the back burner. But pleased to hear you're enjoying GTA Online, because it's overlooked by some people that just hate online, and you're not really a big online player, and it's interesting to see that's kind of got your hooks in. Mate. A lovely little co-op experience with your mate. Like, causes absolute anarchy within the group of your friends. Like, everyone almost like hates each other during those heists when it all goes wrong and you've tried it for the 4th time. But when you finally all come together and get the heist done, it's a great feeling with your team. But I still think there's going to be some underlying issues between you and Boyd and that breathing mechanic. They'll be like, right, that was your fault, sort of not listening. But yeah, Great game, brings up some great memories, and if you've just give it a go, if you've got hold of it, it's definitely worthwhile. I think that's it for another episode of Idle Game Chat. So we will see you back here next Monday, again, providing it's not a bank holiday. And we'll thank you very much for your time now, and then we'll say ta-da.
This was a Dimp Digital production.